All right, guys, welcome into episode 2 of Green Bay Packers Mock the Mock, where we take a look at your guys' mock drafts, break them down, go over them, what I like about them, what I dislike about them. So if you're new to this series and you want to show me your mock drafts, head over to my Packers Discord. The link is down in the description. You'll see a mock draft channel. Post your mock drafts, and maybe they'll be featured in next week's episode. Draft season is in full swing, so not only do I want to do my own mock drafts, go over prospects, I want to take a look at what you guys think the Packers should be drafting and your mock drafts. So if this sort of thing, or anything Green Bay Packers for that matter, and tons of draft content does interest you, I'd highly suggest going down and clicking that subscribe button. Without further ado, let's dive right down into it, and let's get into the first mock draft that I saw that interested me in the mock draft channel over there on the Discord. And it is from user Hagger JP. And it's a 3-round mock draft on the PFF simulator. And quickly, we'll go over the 3 picks, then we'll break them down. At pick 23, he has Kelvin Banks Jr., tackle from Texas. At pick 55, he has edge Jared Ivey from Ole Miss. And at pick 87, a lot of people's favorites, he has Azariah Thomas, cornerback from Florida State. Now, in the first pick, he has Kelvin Banks, and he also listed that he's selecting Kelvin Banks in this mock draft under the pretense that the Packers will let Josh Myers walk, maybe bring in someone like Drew Dalman in free agency, and likely move Zach Tom over to center, then needing a new tackle in the building. And Kelvin Banks is a terrific option. You know, played 3 years at left tackle for the Longhorns offense, maybe transitions more into a right tackle. And we see this last couple of seasons, some very, very high grades for the Longhorns offense, especially back in 2024, this past season. 86.2 in 935 offensive snaps, only allowed 1 sack. That's it. 1 sack, 2 hits, and 7 hurries. He's only actually allowed 4 sacks over the past 3 seasons. And you can see the pass block grade of 89.8, run block grade 81.0, zone grade 81.5. Banks is a 6'4", 320-pound junior, just about to turn 21 years old. Now, I will say this, when you take a look at the consensus board, and you guys know how I feel about consensus boards, right? They're never fully correct. Every draft, we talk about this player is only going to be here because of the consensus board, or he's not going to fall to this point. Yet every single year, you have teams, just like the Packers, selecting guys like Tyron Hopper in the 3rd round, or guys falling like TJ Tampa. It happens every single year. But saying all of that, Kelvin Banks is 11th on the consensus board, and his peak was actually 5th. So right now, he's the 11th highest rated prospect. And the consensus board is pretty much taking all websites across the internet, compiling all their draft boards into one and averaging it out. So Kelvin Banks is actually the 2nd highest graded tackle here. I think Simmons or Banks, it just depends. Simmons is, I think, the best tackle in this class, but obviously suffered the pretty bad injury there. But Kelvin Banks is an awesome, awesome option. And I think if the Packers were to move Zach Tom to center and that was their future projection, getting a tackle at 23 is pretty likely, and I would be all on board with someone like Kelvin Banks. In the 2nd round, he had us selecting Jared Ivey, edge from Ole Miss, who's coming off back-to-back 8-sack seasons, 6'6", 285. I'm all for this profile at edge for the Packers to add. I think they should add, a bigger edge defender like Jared Ivey, and also maybe more of a speed rusher. But Jared Ivey coming off 2 excellent seasons, and his pass rush win rate this past season extremely high at 16.8%. Pass rush grade 90.8 overall grade there. We see he also had 31 hurries this past season. Definitely more of a pro-ready edge, which is probably what the Packers need. 23 years old. I think we can all agree drafting edge players that need 2 to 3 years to develop isn't working too well right now. We need to add a guy into the building that can contribute right away. But someone I like a lot better than Jared Ivey in this spot is JT Tuimoloau. And if he's there, if he's available, I think he's the better option. 6'5", 270, still 21 years old, but also I think pretty pro-ready, coming off a 15-sack season for Ohio State. And when you take a look at the consensus board, Tuimoloau is actually right at around our pick in the 2nd round at 55. He's actually at 49. I think Princely Umanmielen is also an excellent option, where you see Jared Ivey, kind of the drop-off after Landon Jackson, all the way down to 78. But it wouldn't be too far of a stretch to say the Packers, selecting someone like Jared Ivey in the 2nd round. And the production, it's definitely there. Now, in the third round, he has us selecting Azariah Thomas, cornerback, and on the PFF draft board, he's ranked 88th, which I think is very, very low. When you look at consensus, and we can actually go to cornerback here, Azariah Thomas is 41st, just below Benjamin Morrison, who a lot of people have 100% going in the first round. His peak was actually at 39. So, Azariah Thomas, if for some reason he fell to a third round pick, you run that card up. Again, I don't know if he's going to be available there. I think a lot would have to happen for him to fall that far, considering he had an excellent Senior Bowl. A lot of teams take a lot of weight into that, especially the Green Bay Packers. You see this past season, 50.2 passer rating, good man coverage, good zone coverage. He didn't allow a single touchdown last year, had an interception, and a pure outside cornerback, has the range, 6'2", 198, still under 21 years old. I could totally see Azariah Thomas continue to fly up boards and maybe sneak into the first, but if not that, early second round. So, will he be available for the Packers in the third round? Again, I don't really like to play that game too much, but I don't think so. But if he was, obviously run that card up. So overall, mock draft I really like. I think I would have won another edge in the second round with JT Tuimoloau or Princely Uman-Mielen over Jared Ivey. But the other two picks, it makes sense if the Packers are moving Zach Tom to center, which I don't know if they will. I think they're going to bring back Josh Myers, and that will be that. But if they decide to do that, tackle is then a need. This next mock draft was by user Noble Pack, and it's a 7-round mock draft, so we'll try to get through this one a little bit quicker. But let's go over the picks very quickly. At 23, we have Benjamin Morrison, cornerback from Notre Dame. Was just talking about him. At 54, we have everyone's favorite receiver, a lot of people's favorite receiver for that matter. That's wide receiver Jaden Higgins from Iowa State. Then we have Josiah Stewart, edge from Michigan at 87. Howard Cross, defensive tackle from Notre Dame at 123. Jonah Monheim, a center at 160. BJ Adams, another corner at 200. Drew Shelton, a tackle at 239, and a quarterback, Tyler Show from Louisville at 251. I really like the pick at 23, Benjamin Morrison. I think he may be available there. He may drop a little bit due to the lack of playtime due to, I believe it was a shoulder or hip injury. I forget which one of the two in 2024, but he had an excellent season, the past 2 seasons before that. Phenomenal season. So if he somehow drops to 23, I'm all for it. 6 foot, 190, under 21 years old, outside cornerback. I think this is a guy the Packers have circled on their draft board and, I think could easily compete for a starting cornerback position, right away. Right away, Benjamin Morrison. So I really like that pick. And of course, we talked about Jaden Higgins a ton on this channel. And if he's available at 55, I'm all for it. 90-point grade, 90.3 grade last season, 1,100 yards, 900 the year before that, just below 750 in 2022. Contested catch rate extremely high, drop rate extremely low, grade versus man coverage extremely high. He checks all the boxes for the Packers. 6'4", 215. If you want me to do a tape video on Jaden Higgins, a prospect spotlight, let me know down in the comments below. Then he has us taking Josiah Stewart, edge from Michigan, 6'1", 245, so a little smaller framed edge player than the Packers typically pick. They like their taller edge guys, but again, I think they should switch some stuff up, and Josiah Stewart is a great option for that. I don't think I've seen a higher pass rush win rate when looking at PFF profiles in terms of edge rushers, 27.3%. You're telling me every 4 snaps he wins a rep and gets after the quarterback is insane. 9 sacks this past season, 6 the one before that, 91.2 grade. I'm actually shocked on PFF Sport he's this low at 64. Definitely an option for the Packers at 55. I also really like Jordan Birch. I would be happy with either of these players here. 2 completely different players, but I'd be happy with either. Weirdly enough, the consensus actually has Josiah Stewart even lower. He 83. He peaked at 58, but that's just crazy to me considering the production this past season. Even this season before that, in 2023, 6 sacks. In 2022, 3 sacks. A ton of snaps played for this Michigan defense. And why not pair up Rashawn Gary with another Michigan edge? At pick 123, he has us going Howard Cross. Defensive tackle from Notre Dame, had a really solid 2023 campaign. This isn't someone I haven't looked into too much. 3 sacks in 2023, really high grade. This past season, he actually had more sacks with 4 sacks, but he's had a really below average run stop rate, below average run defense grade. I guess that's slightly above average, but in terms of other players available, pretty good pass rush win rate, more of a pass rushing type of defensive tackle. I think that if the Packers go defensive line, the first guy they'll get is maybe more of a gap filling run defender. 6'1", 288. This guy could essentially play edge if we really wanted him to. So maybe that's kind of the projection there. But he's also pretty low on both boards. Consensus, he's 196. So I think this is a little bit of a reach, and he's 271 on PFF, but I'm not mad at it completely. I just think there might be better options. The next pick, he has us going Jonah Monheim, center from USC. Now, this is a center I haven't looked at. I've looked at McLaughlin. I've looked at Jake Majors. I haven't checked out Jonah Monheim yet. I believe he's in that conversation of, okay, who's center number one in this class? Has some versatility. We saw he played left tackle in 2023. He played right guard and right tackle in 2022, and just was center in 2024. So a ton of versatility, which we know the Packers love. 6'5", 310. Didn't allow a single sack at center. Allowed only 2 sacks at left tackle, and actually had a pretty high grade. His lowest grade in terms of PFF was at center. His highest grade was at right guard, right tackle. So much versatility here. He's ranked 173 on the PFF board, 160 on the consensus, right above Seth McLaughlin. Definitely a great option here. I feel like this just screams Packers 5th round pick. I'd be all aboard on this one. I'm going to quickly go over the final 3 picks, just by position and value here. I don't know much about these last 3 prospects, but BJ Adams, a cornerback, getting and doubling up on cornerback in this class is something I see the Packers doing. Drew Shelton doubling up on offensive lineman, maybe getting more of a pure tackle, where Monheim has more, center to guard versatility, where Shelton, maybe more of a left tackle, right tackle versatility. Definitely makes sense for the Packers. Quarterback, I don't know if I want the Packers to go quarterback. I guess if they decide they want to trade Malik Willis for something, sure, developmental wise, but they're not going to carry 3 quarterbacks on the roster. I feel like you could just go with another defensive lineman here and just double up at that position as well. The final mock draft in this video was done by user Fepa6099, and his 3-round mock draft is as follows. Azarai Thomas, who we already talked about. Do I see him going all the way up to 23? Maybe. It honestly could happen. We're so far away from the draft. A couple months still away. A lot of things can change. And, if things go that direction and the Packers end up calling Azarai Thomas's name at 23, I wouldn't necessarily be mad. I think he's going to be a phenomenal player at corner. I think he can contribute day one. I think he can become a number 1 corner in this league, and I really, really like him. So if that happens, I'm not necessarily mad at it. I think a lot of the other projections, such as PFF, makes us think he's maybe less of a player, but he's really not. He's a great player, so getting him at round 1 wouldn't be too much of a shock for me. Trey Harris, you guys know I just made a video on him, breaking down his entire prospect profile, spotlighting him, and going over the tape. If you want to go watch that, I'd highly suggest it. Trey Harris is probably one of my favorite receiver prospects in this class. You can simply click the link right above. Really, really like him. Another guy I really like and would be a phenomenal pick at 87 is Jordan Birch, defensive lineman out of Oregon. I'm honestly shocked he's not higher on consensus. He's actually higher on PFF, 66, than he is consensus, 81. I'm shocked because I think someone's going to get a steal in Jordan Birch. Like, this guy could be an early 2nd round pick easily in last year's draft, maybe even sneak into the 1st. I mean, the versatility, the athleticism here is absolutely insane. 6'6", 295, 23 years old. This is the guy, if you heard me in previous videos, that reached 21 miles an hour in a game last season at 6'6", 295. That is frightening. If a guy moving that fast is that size running at someone, I would just run out of bounds. Like, I'm good. Like, I don't want the smoke, right? So Jordan Birch, man, a ton of versatility, a ton of athleticism, and coming off a 10-sack season. A guy this big that can, get after the quarterback this well. Not truly a great run defender, but I think he can get better in that regard. You see the run stop rate pretty low there. But if the Packers want to add another guy that, versatility, a big-bodied guy that knows how to get after the quarterback, that has a ton of athleticism, can move them all around that defensive line, Jordan Birch is a great option. Pass rush win rate of 15.7%. Pass rush grade 81.3. The past 3 seasons, we're talking about 15 total sacks for, an interior defensive lineman per se. I'm all about it. I think this would be an excellent pick in the 3rd round. Again, getting a defensive lineman in the 3rd round in this draft is like getting one last year in like the early 2nd. That's kind of the projection we're going. So I really, really like this mock draft. Azarai Thomas, I think, is a home run pick. Trey Harris and Jordan Birch. I love all these prospects. If that's how the first 3 rounds for the Packers went, man, I'd be ecstatic. So those are the 3 mock drafts I have for the Green Bay Packers this week. Again, go join the Discord, post your mock drafts, and maybe they'll be featured in next week's video. I really appreciate you guys coming by to the channel. If you could leave a like down below, shows support, tells me this video is something you enjoy, and I'll keep doing it week after week. But appreciate you guys coming by. I'll catch you on the next one. And as always, go Pack Go.